In the tumultuous years of the late Middle Ages, between the 12th and 15th centuries, the Mediterranean Sea witnessed the rise of one of history's most remarkable military religious orders. The Knights of St. John, also known as the Knights Hospitaller, emerged during this pivotal period when the medieval world was undergoing profound transformations. The Mediterranean basin of this era was a complex tapestry of competing powers and civilizations. To the east lay the weakening Byzantine Empire, its golden dome of Hagia Sophia still gleaming above Constantinople's waters. The strategic islands of Rhodes and Malta served as crucial strongholds, their natural harbors and commanding positions making them invaluable prizes in the struggle for Mediterranean supremacy. Rhodes, with its deep-water port and formidable walls, became the Knights' first major naval base in 1309, while Malta would later serve as their final stronghold, its fierce cliffs and protected harbors providing natural defenses against invaders. During this period, the Mediterranean was a crucible where three great civilizations converged. The Christian kingdoms of Europe, including the maritime powers of Venice and Genoa, competed with the rising Ottoman Empire and the declining Byzantines for control of vital sea lanes. The Knights of St. John found themselves at the intersection of these competing interests, their fortified commanderies dotting the coastlines from Spain to the Levant. In the tumultuous years of the late Middle Ages, between the 12th and 15th centuries, the Mediterranean Sea witnessed the rise of one of history's most remarkable military religious orders. The Knights of St. John, also known as the Knights Hospitaller, emerged during this pivotal period when the medieval world was undergoing profound transformations. The Mediterranean basin of this era was a complex tapestry of competing powers and civilizations. To the east lay the weakening Byzantine Empire, its golden dome of Hagia Sophia still gleaming above Constantinople's waters. The strategic islands of Rhodes and Malta served as crucial strongholds, their natural harbors and commanding positions making them invaluable prizes in the struggle for Mediterranean supremacy. Rhodes, with its deep-water port and formidable walls, became the Knights' first major naval base in 1309, while Malta would later serve as their final stronghold, its fierce cliffs and protected harbors providing natural defenses against invaders. During this period, the Mediterranean was a crucible where three great civilizations converged. The Christian kingdoms of Europe, including the maritime powers of Venice and Genoa, competed with the rising Ottoman Empire and the declining Byzantines for control of vital sea lanes. The Knights of St. John found themselves at the intersection of these competing interests, their fortified commanderies dotting the coastlines from Spain to the Levant. From their island strongholds, the Knights maintained an elaborate network of watchtowers and signal fires, creating an early warning system that could spread news of approaching Ottoman fleets within hours. The constant threat of invasion meant that even in times of peace, the Knights' galleys patrolled the sea lanes, their crews ever vigilant for the distinctive profile of Ottoman ships on the horizon. This was an age when the clash of civilizations was not merely a theoretical concept, but a daily reality. The Knights of St. John stood as living embodiments of this struggle, their very existence a testament to the complex interplay of faith, power, and survival that characterized the medieval Mediterranean world. Their story is one of adaptation and resilience, as they transformed from humble hospital workers in Jerusalem to become one of the most formidable naval powers of their age. If you are passionate about the Middle Ages and want to embark on this historical journey with us, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the Medieval Archives channel so you don't miss any fascinating content. In the annals of medieval history, few organizations have left as indelible a mark as the Knights of St. John. Founded in Jerusalem around 1048 as a humble hospital to care for sick pilgrims, the order evolved into a powerful military monastic institution that would shape Mediterranean history for centuries to come. The order's transformation began under its first Grand Master, Blessed Gerard Tom, who established the foundation of their dual mission, caring for the sick while defending the faith. Under his leadership, the Knights adopted their distinctive black robes adorned with white crosses, symbolizing their commitment to both martial prowess and Christian charity. Among the most remarkable Grand Masters was Philippe Villiers de l'Isle-Adam, who led the Knights during one of their darkest hours, the Siege of Rhodes in 1522. His tactical brilliance and unwavering resolve helped the order withstand the massive Ottoman assault for 6 months before negotiating an honorable surrender that allowed the Knights to withdraw with their dignity intact. Jean Parisot de Valette stands as perhaps the most celebrated Grand Master in the order's history. His leadership during the Great Siege of Malta in 1565 became legendary. At the age of 70, de Valette inspired his knights to resist an Ottoman force that outnumbered them by more than 10 to 1. His strategic genius and personal courage turned what seemed an inevitable defeat into one of history's most remarkable victories. On the Ottoman side, Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent emerges as a complex antagonist. Far from being a mere villain, Suleiman was a sophisticated ruler who combined military ambition with cultural achievement. His determination to neutralize the knights stemmed from both strategic necessity and a desire to secure Ottoman trading routes. Under his leadership, the Ottoman Empire reached its zenith of power and cultural sophistication. The order's ranks included knights from noble families across Europe, each bringing their own martial traditions and cultural perspectives. These men underwent a profound transformation upon joining the order, surrendering their individual identities to become part of a brotherhood dedicated to both warfare and humanitarian service. Their vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience set them apart from typical medieval warriors. Supporting the knights were the sergeants-at-arms, skilled fighters of common birth who formed the backbone of the order's military strength. These men proved themselves repeatedly in battle, earning respect despite their humble origins. The order also maintained a network of civilian servants, craftsmen, and medical personnel who kept their fortresses functioning and their hospitals operating. Among the Ottoman commanders who faced the knights, Dragut Reis earned particular notoriety. This brilliant naval tactician and former corsair became the scourge of Christian shipping, matching the knights in both seamanship and strategic cunning. His death during the Great Siege of Malta in 1565 marked a turning point in Ottoman fortunes. The transformation of the knights from humble hospitallers to warrior monks reflects the complex religious and political dynamics of their era. Their dedication to defending Christian civilization, while maintaining their humanitarian mission, created internal tensions that each generation had to resolve anew. This duality shaped their institutional character and individual identities, creating a unique hybrid of monastic discipline and martial valor. Through centuries of conflict, the knights developed a distinctive culture that blended religious devotion with military excellence. Their experiences fighting the Ottomans, caring for the sick, and governing their island domains forged them into something more than mere soldiers or monks. They became living symbols of resistance against Ottoman expansion and guardians of European Christian civilization in the Mediterranean. The legacy of these men, both knights and their opponents, continues to resonate through history, their struggles and achievements offering insights into the eternal questions of faith, duty, and the price of defending one's beliefs against overwhelming odds. Their story remains a testament to human courage, resilience, and the power of unwavering conviction in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. At the heart of the Knights of St. John's story lies an epic struggle for survival that shaped the Mediterranean world for centuries. This wasn't merely a conflict between armies. It was a clash of civilizations that would determine the fate of Christian Europe and the balance of power in the Mediterranean Sea. The central conflict emerged as the Ottoman Empire expanded westward, threatening Christian dominance in the Mediterranean. The Knights of St. John stood as a bulwark against this advance, their fortress islands of Rhodes and later Malta becoming crucial checkpoints in the struggle for maritime supremacy. Their mission transcended mere territorial defense. It embodied the preservation of Western Christian civilization against what they perceived as an existential threat. As Ottoman power grew, signs of the coming storm appeared throughout the region. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 served as a dramatic harbinger of Ottoman capabilities. The once impregnable walls of the Byzantine capital, which had withstood sieges for a millennium, crumbled before Ottoman cannons. This event cast a long shadow over the Christian Mediterranean, signaling that no fortress, however mighty, was truly invulnerable. The conflict manifested in numerous forms beyond direct military confrontation. The struggle for control of vital trading routes became increasingly crucial. The Knights' naval patrols protected Christian merchant vessels while disrupting Ottoman commerce, turning economic warfare into a key battlefield. Their raids on Ottoman shipping created a constant state of tension, while their presence provided safe harbors for Christian vessels throughout the Mediterranean. Several pivotal moments defined this centuries-long struggle. The Siege of Rhodes in 1480 demonstrated the Knights' defensive capabilities when they successfully repelled a massive Ottoman assault. However, the Second Siege of Rhodes in 1522 proved more challenging. Despite heroic resistance under Grand Master Philippe Villiers de l'Isle-Adam, the knights were forced to surrender after a 6-month siege, marking a significant victory for Suleiman the Magnificent. The Great Siege of Malta in 1565 stands as the most dramatic episode in this long conflict. The successful defense of Malta against overwhelming Ottoman forces became a turning point in Mediterranean history. The knights, vastly outnumbered, held out through a brutal summer of bombardment and assault. Their victory dealt a severe blow to Ottoman prestige and marked the beginning of a gradual decline in Ottoman naval power. Throughout these conflicts, deeper themes emerged. The knights' unwavering faith sustained them through seemingly impossible odds, while their code of honor often earned respect even from their enemies. Their military strategy evolved constantly, adapting to new weapons and tactics while maintaining their core identity as warrior monks. Diplomatic intrigue played a crucial role in their survival. The knights maintained complex relationships with European powers, balancing their independence with the need for support against Ottoman threats. They became masters of diplomatic maneuvering, playing various powers against each other while maintaining their autonomous status. The narrative arc of their story contains multiple climactic moments. The successful defense of Malta represents the highest point of their achievement, while the loss of Rhodes serves as a powerful anticlimax that tested their resilience. The gradual decline of Ottoman power in the Mediterranean brought new challenges, as the knights struggled to maintain their relevance in a changing world. Personal stories of sacrifice and heroism punctuate this larger narrative. Individual knights and commanders faced moments of crisis that tested their faith and resolve. The Grand Masters who led the order through its greatest challenges became legendary figures, their decisions shaping not only the fate of their order, but the future of the Mediterranean. The conflict's impact extended far beyond military encounters. Cultural exchange, despite the antagonism, occurred through prisoner ransoms, diplomatic missions, and trade. The Knights' hospitals treated patients of all faiths, maintaining their original humanitarian mission, even amid constant warfare. Their architectural legacy, visible today in the fortifications of Rhodes and Malta, stands as a testament to their engineering skill and determination. This epic struggle between the Knights of St. John and the Ottoman Empire encapsulates themes that remain relevant today. The clash of civilizations, the balance between faith and pragmatism, and the price of defending one's beliefs against overwhelming odds. Their story demonstrates how determination, adaptability, and unwavering conviction can enable a small but dedicated force to resist even the mightiest empires. Life within the Order of St. John followed a carefully structured rhythm that balanced monastic devotion with military preparation. Each day began before dawn with the sound of church bells calling knights to morning prayers. Dressed in their distinctive black robes with white crosses, they gathered in their magnificent conventual churches to fulfill their religious obligations before attending to their martial duties. The order maintained a strict hierarchical structure divided into 3 distinct classes. At the top were the Knights of Justice, noblemen by birth who took solemn vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Below them were the chaplains, who attended to the order's spiritual needs, and the serving brothers, who performed essential military and hospital services despite their non-noble origins. Within these ranks, knights specialized in various roles. The Knights of Justice were further divided into 8 longs or tongues, representing different European nations: Provence, Auvergne, France, Italy, Aragon, England, Germany, and Castile. Each long maintained its own auberges, or inn, where knights lived, dined, and socialized with others from their linguistic and cultural background. Daily training was rigorous and comprehensive. Young knights spent hours practicing swordsmanship, horsemanship, and naval warfare techniques. The order's naval expertise was particularly valued, and knights learned everything from navigation to naval tactics. They trained with various weapons, including the distinctive long pikes used in galley warfare, and studied military engineering for fortress defense. The order's hospital work remained central to their mission. Knights took regular turns serving in the order's famous hospitals, where they cared for patients regardless of faith or origin. These hospitals were renowned throughout the Mediterranean for their advanced medical practices and high standards of care. The knights maintained the tradition of serving meals to the sick using silver plates, believing that this dignity aided healing. Governance of the order centered around the Grand Master and the Council. The Grand Master, elected for life, wielded considerable power but was bound by the order's constitution and the advice of his council. Important decisions required the consent of the chapter general, a legislative body representing all longs. The knights' daily schedule reflected their dual nature as monks and warriors. Between military exercises and hospital duties, they attended multiple religious services, studied scripture and military texts, and participated in communal meals where religious texts were read aloud. Silence was observed during meals, and meat was forbidden on Wednesdays and Fridays. Their fortress convents were self-contained communities where knights lived alongside serving brothers, chaplains, and various craftsmen and servants. The architecture reflected this complexity, with buildings designed for defense existing alongside churches, hospitals, and administrative centers. Gardens within the fortress walls provided food and medicinal herbs. The relationship between the knights and local populations was complex. In Rhodes and Malta, they served as both rulers and protectors. The order provided employment and security, but maintained a distinct social hierarchy. Local nobles often served as donors or associates of the order without taking full vows. Merchants benefited from the order's protection of shipping lanes, but sometimes chafed under their strict control of ports and trade. Cultural interaction was inevitable despite religious differences. The order's ports were cosmopolitan centers where traders from across the Mediterranean met and conducted business. Knights often learned Arabic and Turkish to facilitate ransoming captured Christians and conducting diplomacy. Their hospitals treated Muslims and Jews alongside Christians, though maintaining separate wards. The knights' material culture reflected their unique status. While bound by vows of poverty, they maintained high standards in their military equipment and religious ceremonies. Their churches and aberdses were adorned with art and architecture that blended European styles with Mediterranean influences. Personal possessions were limited, but communal spaces were often magnificent. Discipline within the order was strict. Knights who violated their vows faced punishments ranging from penance to imprisonment. The famous prison of Fort St. Angelo in Malta held both common criminals and knights who had transgressed. However, the order's justice system was considered fair for its time, with formal procedures and rights of appeal. The presence of the order profoundly influenced local economic life. Their naval activities provided protection for local fishermen and traders, while their hospitals created demand for medical supplies and food. The order's fortification projects employed numerous local craftsmen and laborers, while their administrative needs required scribes and translators. This carefully structured society served a greater purpose, maintaining an elite fighting force ready to defend Christendom while upholding religious values. The daily routine, strict hierarchy, and complex social interactions all contributed to creating warriors who were equally comfortable wielding a sword or tending to the sick, making the Knights of St. John a unique institution in medieval history. The legacy of this social structure can still be seen today in the surviving buildings and institutions of Rhodes and Malta, where the order's influence shaped not only the physical landscape, but also the cultural and social fabric of these Mediterranean islands. If you're enjoying the story so far, tell us in the comments, which aspect of the Middle Ages surprised you the most? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Medieval Archives channel to follow our next explorations. The fall of Rhodes, 1522, stands as one of the most dramatic turning points in the order's history. After 2 centuries of successfully defending their island fortress, the knights faced their greatest challenge when Suleiman the Magnificent arrived with an overwhelming force of 200,000 men and 400 ships. The siege began in June 1522, when Ottoman cannons commenced their relentless bombardment of Rhodes' formidable walls. During this brutal 6-month siege, intrigue and espionage played crucial roles. Ottoman spies had infiltrated Rhodes years before, providing detailed information about the fortress's defenses. However, the knights maintained their own intelligence network through Greek fishermen and merchants who brought news of Ottoman movements. The siege featured countless acts of heroism, including the knights' dramatic nighttime raids to sabotage Ottoman mining operations beneath their walls. Grand Master Philippe Villiers de L'Isle Adam orchestrated a masterful defense, but also engaged in subtle diplomacy. He knew of secret negotiations between Suleiman and European powers, particularly France, which had chosen not to send aid to Rhodes. This political betrayal forced the knights to rely solely on their own resources. When surrender finally came on December 22nd, the terms negotiated were surprisingly honorable, allowing the knights to depart with their archives, relics, and dignity intact. The Great Siege of Malta, 1565, represents perhaps the most extraordinary chapter in the Order's history. The Knights had transformed Malta from a barren rock into a fortress island, but faced their greatest test when Suleiman launched another massive invasion. The siege featured multiple dramatic reversals of fortune, including the fall and miraculous recovery of Fort St. Elmo, and the famous swimming rescue, where knights crossed the harbor underwater at night to reinforce besieged positions. Behind the scenes, Grand Master Jean de Valette orchestrated a complex political game. While defending Malta, he dispatched urgent appeals to European courts, playing on their fears of Ottoman expansion. The siege featured remarkable instances of deception, including de Valette's successful strategy of exaggerating his fortress's strength to discourage Ottoman assaults. The arrival of the Little Relief in July lifted spirits, but also sparked tensions as reinforcements had to be integrated into the defense. The siege's turning point came through an audacious act of espionage. A knight disguised as a Turkish deserter infiltrated the Ottoman camp, bringing back crucial information about their deteriorating morale and supplies. This intelligence helped the knights hold out until the arrival of the Great Relief in September, leading to the Ottoman retreat and a victory that would become legendary. The Battle of Lepanto, 1571, marked another crucial moment, though the knights played a supporting rather than central role. Their participation in this massive naval engagement demonstrated their integration into broader European strategy. The battle featured complex political maneuvering as the Holy League was formed, with the knights helping to broker agreements between rival Christian powers. This period also saw intense internal politics within the order. The knights faced challenges from the Protestant Reformation, which led to the loss of their English long and properties. They engaged in delicate negotiations with the Vatican, balancing their independence with their role as defenders of Catholicism. Secret correspondence from this period reveals attempts by various European powers to influence the election of Grand Masters and control the Order's considerable resources. The Knights' naval operations involved sophisticated intelligence gathering. They maintained a network of informants in major Mediterranean ports, allowing them to track Ottoman fleet movements and protect merchant shipping. Their galleys conducted regular reconnaissance missions, often disguised as merchant vessels, to gather information about Ottoman preparations and movements. The Order's survival often depended on their ability to navigate complex diplomatic waters. They maintained careful neutrality in conflicts between Christian powers while securing support against Ottoman threats. Their archives contain evidence of secret agreements with various Mediterranean powers, including occasional unofficial truces with Ottoman governors when circumstances required. The Knights also faced internal conspiracies. In 1581, a plot involving several young knights to surrender Malta to the Ottomans was discovered and brutally suppressed. This incident led to reforms in the Order's security and vetting procedures, while highlighting the tensions between different national laws within the Order. Throughout these events, the Order demonstrated remarkable resilience and adaptability. Their survival depended not just on military prowess, but on sophisticated diplomacy, intelligence operations, and political maneuvering. Each major crisis forced them to evolve, adapting their strategies and structures while maintaining their core identity as warrior monks. These pivotal moments shaped not only the Order, but the entire Mediterranean world. The Knights' successful defense of Malta marked the beginning of Ottoman naval decline, while their role in intelligence gathering and diplomacy influenced European politics far beyond their size would suggest. Their story demonstrates how a relatively small but well-organized force could impact world events through a combination of military skill, political acumen, and unwavering dedication to their cause. The architectural legacy of the Knights of St. John stands as one of their most enduring contributions to Mediterranean culture. In Rhodes, they transformed the ancient city into a medieval stronghold that masterfully blended military functionality with artistic beauty. The Street of Knights, with its magnificent oberzas, represents one of the finest examples of Gothic architecture in the Mediterranean, each building adorned with intricate carvings and heraldic symbols that spoke to the Order's dual nature as both warrior and religious institution. In Malta, the Knights created what many consider their architectural masterpiece, Valletta. This planned city, named after Grand Master Jean de Valette, embodied Renaissance ideals of urban planning while incorporating advanced military engineering. The city's grid pattern, innovative water systems, and magnificent buildings like St. John's Co-Cathedral showcase how the Knights combined practical defensive needs with artistic sophistication. The Co-Cathedral's interior, with its elaborate Baroque decoration and Caravaggio masterpieces, demonstrates their commitment to creating spaces that celebrated both divine glory and human achievement. The order's medical knowledge represented another significant intellectual achievement. Their hospitals were renowned throughout Europe for incorporating both traditional and innovative treatments. The Sacra Infermeria in Malta featured long wards designed to maximize air circulation, with silver services used to serve patients, both for hygiene and dignity. The Knights maintained extensive medical libraries and encouraged the exchange of medical knowledge between European and Arab traditions. Maritime expertise formed a crucial part of the order's intellectual capital. They developed sophisticated navigational techniques and maintained detailed charts of Mediterranean waters. Their naval architecture evolved through practical experience, creating galley designs that combined speed with fighting capability. The order's archives contained technical drawings and treatises on shipbuilding, navigation, and naval tactics that represented the cutting edge of medieval maritime knowledge. Religious devotion permeated every aspect of the Knights' intellectual life. Their libraries contained extensive collections of theological works, and they engaged in scholarly debates about religious doctrine. However, their practical experience in the Mediterranean led to a more nuanced understanding of religious differences than might be expected. They maintained diplomatic relations with Muslim rulers when necessary and showed tolerance toward Jewish and Orthodox Christian communities under their protection. The Knights preserved and transmitted numerous legends about their history and achievements. Stories of miraculous interventions during sieges, tales of individual heroism, and accounts of divine protection became part of their cultural identity. The Great Siege of 1565 generated particularly rich legendary material, with stories of supernatural signs and divine assistance becoming intertwined with historical facts. The Renaissance significantly influenced the order's intellectual development. Grand masters like L'Isle Adam and La Valette were educated in humanist traditions and maintained correspondence with leading European intellectuals. The order's libraries included works of classical literature and contemporary scientific texts alongside religious manuscripts. Their court attracted artists, architects, and scholars from across Europe. Military engineering represented another area of intellectual achievement. The Knights developed innovative fortification techniques, incorporating the latest developments in artillery warfare. Their engineers created sophisticated systems of bastions, ravelins, and underground passages that represented the state-of-the-art in military architecture. These fortifications incorporated mathematical principles and demonstrated deep understanding of ballistics and defensive geometry. The order maintained a complex diplomatic and intelligence network that required sophisticated understanding of international relations. Their archives reveal careful analysis of political situations, detailed reports on Ottoman movements, and strategic assessments of Mediterranean power dynamics. Knights were trained in languages and diplomacy, often serving as intermediaries in international disputes. Cultural exchange occurred despite religious conflicts. The Knights adopted elements of Eastern military technology and architectural styles, while their hospitals incorporated Arab medical knowledge. Their coins and decorative arts often showed Islamic influences, creating a distinctive hybrid Mediterranean style. The order faced intellectual challenges from multiple directions. The Protestant Reformation forced them to defend Catholic doctrine while maintaining their independence from direct papal control. The scientific revolution and Enlightenment prompted debates about the role of faith versus reason in their institutions. They struggled to reconcile their traditional military-religious mission with changing European attitudes toward holy war and religious tolerance. Music and liturgical celebration formed another important aspect of their cultural life. The order maintained elaborate ceremonies combining religious ritual with military pageantry. Their churches featured sophisticated musical programs, and they preserved collections of sacred music and ceremonial texts. The Knights' intellectual achievement extended to education and training. They maintained schools for young knights where traditional subjects were taught alongside military arts and navigation. These educational institutions helped preserve and transmit both practical knowledge and cultural traditions across generations. Their cultural impact extended beyond their immediate territories. The order's architectural styles influenced building throughout the Mediterranean, while their medical practices were studied and copied across Europe. Their military engineering principles were adopted by other powers, and their diplomatic protocols influenced international relations. Through all these areas, architecture, medicine, navigation, military engineering, and religious scholarship, the knights maintained a distinctive cultural identity that combined practical expertise with religious devotion. Their intellectual legacy demonstrates how a military religious order could serve as a repository and transmitter of knowledge while adapting to changing times and circumstances. The Knights of St. John, positioned at the crossroads of Christian Europe and the Islamic world, played a pivotal role as both a barrier and a bridge between these two civilizations. Their strategic location in the central Mediterranean made them key players in the complex web of diplomatic, commercial, and military relationships that shaped the region's history. The order maintained a highly sophisticated network of diplomatic relations, navigating delicate balances between various powers. They regularly corresponded with the Vatican, affirming their religious allegiance while preserving operational independence. Simultaneously, they formed military alliances with Spain and Venice, carefully avoiding entanglement in inter-Christian conflicts. Diplomatic missions to North African ports facilitated prisoner exchanges and trade negotiations, while intelligence networks spanned from Constantinople to Venice, ensuring they stayed ahead of regional developments. Economically, the Knights' control over critical Mediterranean positions had a profound impact on regional commerce. They protected Christian shipping through convoy systems and operated a sophisticated maritime insurance network. Ports and roads in Malta were meticulously regulated, generating revenue through customs duties and trading fees. The order also developed banking services for international merchants and established quarantine facilities to control disease, making their territories vital economic hubs in the Mediterranean. The constant state of conflict between Christian and Muslim powers drove rapid technological exchange and adaptation. In the naval sphere, the Knights developed faster, more maneuverable galleys, integrated heavy artillery into ship design, and adopted advanced navigation techniques. In fortress engineering, they adapted designs to counter new siege weapons, incorporated Italian Renaissance military architecture, and constructed sophisticated underground defenses. These innovations made the order a formidable military force. Despite their role as staunch defenders of Christendom, the Knights participated in significant cultural exchange with the Islamic world. In the military sphere, they adopted Turkish terms and tactics, integrated Arab naval technology, and learned from Ottoman siege methods through ransomed prisoners. Culturally, they developed hybrid architectural styles, incorporated Eastern medical knowledge into their practices, and adopted elements of diplomatic protocol from their interactions with Muslim powers. This blending of traditions created a unique, multicultural identity within the order. Major historical events also shaped the order's trajectory. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 prompted the Knights to strengthen their fortresses, accelerate naval building programs, and enhance their intelligence networks. The rise of Ottoman naval power forced them to adapt defensive strategies, develop new naval tactics, and fortify their coastal outposts. The Protestant Reformation posed additional challenges, leading to the loss of properties in Protestant territories, a reorganization of finances, and a strengthened Catholic identity that reinforced their spiritual mission. The Knights' activities had far-reaching geopolitical and economic consequences. Strategically, they maintained a Christian naval presence in the central Mediterranean, protected vital communication lines between Italy and Spain, and upheld Christian influence in the Levant. Economically, they stabilized Mediterranean trade routes, developed international banking networks, and created safe ports for Christian commerce. Their maritime insurance systems became a model for risk management in global trade. Population movements also defined the order's legacy. Christian refugees from Ottoman territories found sanctuary in their domains, while European merchants settled in their ports, fostering multicultural urban centers. Skilled craftsmen and engineers moved to order-controlled territories, contributing to technological and architectural advancements. As a frontier society, the Knights of St. John fostered innovation in both military and civil technology. They developed new fortress designs, advanced naval architecture, and created sophisticated defensive weapons. Civil innovations included improvements in hospital design, water management systems, urban planning, and port facilities. These contributions enriched not only their territories, but also the broader Mediterranean world. The long-term impact of the Knights' activities is undeniable. Their cultural legacy includes the preservation of medieval military architecture, the development of hybrid Mediterranean styles, and the maintenance of a Christian presence in Muslim-dominated areas. Politically, they established lasting diplomatic protocols, influenced the development of international maritime law, and created models for military religious orders. The Knights of St. John stand as a testament to the dynamic interplay of conflict, cooperation, and cultural exchange in the Mediterranean. Their efforts not only shaped their era, but also left a lasting imprint on the region's history, culture, and geopolitical landscape. The Knights' role as intermediaries between civilizations, while maintaining their distinct identity, created lasting impacts on Mediterranean society. Their ability to adapt to changing circumstances while preserving their core mission demonstrates the complexity of medieval Mediterranean civilization and its lasting influence on global history. The final chapter of the Knights of St. John's sovereign rule unfolded in 1798, when Napoleon Bonaparte seized Malta through a combination of military might and internal betrayal. This dramatic conclusion ended centuries of Knights' rule, marking the conclusion of an era and initiating a profound shift in Mediterranean power dynamics that would ripple across global politics. The immediate aftermath of the order's fall brought significant changes. The traditional Mediterranean power balance was disrupted, and naval control patterns shifted as Malta's strategic location came under new control. The order's administrative structure was displaced, and their considerable assets were redistributed, altering the economic and political landscape of the region. The subsequent British occupation of Malta transformed the island into a vital naval base, integrating it into British imperial networks. This shift changed regional trade patterns and redefined diplomatic relationships, further embedding Malta into the evolving geopolitics of the 19th century. The long-term impact of the Knights' legacy remains evident today. Their maritime and naval contributions influenced ship design and naval architecture, advanced maritime law and navigation techniques, and established port infrastructure that persists to this day. Strategically, the Knights developed effective coastal defenses, naval warfare tactics, and intelligence networks, forming international naval protocols that have influenced modern maritime strategy. The architectural and cultural heritage of the Knights also endures. Their fortifications in Rhodes and Malta stand as testaments to their engineering prowess, while religious and civic buildings reflect their influence on Mediterranean urban planning. Their contributions to military architecture and their preservation of medieval traditions are complemented by their unique artistic styles and multicultural diplomatic practices, which helped shape the cultural fabric of the Mediterranean. The Knights' medical and humanitarian legacy is another enduring aspect of their history. Their hospital traditions influenced modern medical organizations, international humanitarian law, hospital management practices, and medical education systems. Their focus on care and humanitarian assistance continues to resonate in global health and relief efforts. Diplomatically, the Knights left a lasting imprint on international relations. They pioneered models for multinational organizations, established diplomatic protocols, and contributed to the evolution of international maritime law. Their techniques for cross-cultural negotiation remain relevant in today's complex global environment. The Knights' experience offers valuable insights into contemporary challenges. Their role in addressing maritime security, protecting trade routes, and navigating religious and cultural conflicts highlights the importance of international cooperation against shared threats. Their organizational strategies, combining military and civilian functions, balancing national and international interests, and adapting to changing circumstances, provide lessons for modern institutions. The Knights' strategic insights are particularly instructive. Their military strategies underscore the importance of securing strategic positions, fortifying defenses, and integrating technological innovations. Their political strategies reveal the value of diplomatic flexibility, international alliances, and cultural understanding in maintaining stability and influence. In today's world, the Knights' legacy has direct applications. Their methods inform international peacekeeping operations, humanitarian intervention strategies, maritime security cooperation, and approaches to cross-cultural conflict resolution. Their organizational models continue to inspire frameworks for military-civilian cooperation, humanitarian assistance, and cultural preservation. Reflecting on the Knights' history provides an opportunity to critically assess their role in shaping Mediterranean development, military evolution, and cultural exchange. Balancing their religious mission with secular responsibilities highlights the complexities of their ethical and strategic decisions, particularly regarding religious warfare, cultural interaction, and humanitarian concerns. The lessons from their legacy are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. They demonstrate the importance of long-term planning, resource management, diplomatic flexibility, and technical innovation. Their approach to cultural understanding, religious tolerance, and cross-cultural communication provides a blueprint for managing international cooperation in a diverse and interconnected world. The story of the Knights of St. John reveals the enduring relevance of principled leadership, adaptability, and cultural sensitivity. Their ability to balance tradition with innovation offers guidance for international organizations, military planners, diplomatic services, and humanitarian agencies. Their legacy continues to influence modern approaches to security, cultural interaction, and organizational management, serving as a timeless example of how institutions can uphold core values while navigating a rapidly changing global landscape. If you liked the video, be sure to like, comment on your reflections, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel, The Medieval Archives. See you on the next trip to the past.